Investigator Vale and the Retinue of Shambles, Part 1. The wood elf sprawled across the bed in the pristine cabin, a dagger protruding from his chest and a pool of blood spreading beneath him.
"Murder, Vale,"
said Nemdalin, the high elf captain of the Silver Swan sailing ship, obviously hoping she would change her declaration to something less sinister.
"Are you absolutely certain?"
Investigator Vale sighed.
Do you think he accidentally plunged the blade into his own heart, Captain Nemdalin? I suppose it could be possible, but I find it highly unlikely.
Fëanor, a wood elf brewmaster looking to take advantage of Queen Irene's proclamation that opened the borders of Somerset, would have been one of the first new immigrants to set foot on the high elf homeland. Now, he was nothing more than a memory in Valenwood and a guest at Y'ffre's campfire. The investigator bent closer to examine the hilt and pommel protruding from the brewer's chest.
"It had to be one of those high and mighty high elves, yes?"
said Zaraki, the Khajiit clothier.
"Despite Queen Irene's promises, they don't want the likes of us to sully their pristine land."
They'll use the light of a candle to better study intricate carvings that decorated the handle of the murder weapon.
Perhaps, but I find the use of a ceremonial dagger rather significant. Daedric, I believe. I don't recognize all of these symbols, though the pattern suggests the adoration of multiple princes. Intriguing.
"So what are you saying, Vale? We're scheduled to dock in Shimmerine tomorrow morning."
I'm saying, my dear captain, that you have not only a murderer aboard your vessel, you have a murderer who's also a Daedric cultist, and those tend to be the most intriguing kind.
Vale said, hardly bothering to hide her enthusiasm.
Now this voyage is finally getting interesting.
Vale and the Khajiit clothier searched the ship's deepest hold, exploring narrow spaces between the crates, kegs, and barrels piling from deck to ceiling.
You didn't have to accompany me, Zaraki. I'm quite capable of taking care of myself, you know.
Zaraki brushed cobwebs from his tawny fur.
"Thar meant no disrespect, investigator, but this one didn't feel right, allowing you to descend into the bowels of the ship all by yourself, not with a murderer on the loose. Why the captain and his cowardly crew didn't volunteer to help you, only Joe and John would know for sure."
Vale squeezed through the gap between two small crates and led the way into a small clearing in the middle of the forest of cargo. She noticed that one of the stacks was balanced precariously as the bindings to support it had come loose during the voyage. She stepped gingerly past the unstable stack to stand in the center of a cleared space.
Precisely where I expected to find it.
Vale pointed to the makeshift shrine to one of the Daedric princes.
The god of pledges and promises, if I remember my lessons with the headmaster of Daedric studies at the University of Gwillem.
Zaraki circled the rune-covered deck and the Daedric symbol rising from its center cautiously.
"You attended the university?"
Let's just say I audited a few private lessons with the headmaster. She learned as much from me as I learned from her, I'm proud to admit.
As the Khajiit reached a furred hand towards the skull-topped wooden plinth surrounded by vile runes, the investigator slapped it away and motioned for him to be quiet. Footsteps were approaching the hidden shrine. Vale and Zaraki pressed into the shadows cast by the close-packed crates and waited. A moment passed, and then a tall high elf in noble garb emerged from the gap between the stacks. Vale stepped into the surprised high elf's path.
I take it you're our Daedric cultist.
The cultist drew a wickedly curved dagger from his belt.
"Lord of Trickery, take you! You should have never gotten involved in the affairs of the Retinue of Shambles, Breton tramp."
Before Vale could respond, Zaraki leaped into action. The clothier brandished a sword from who knows where and blocked the cultist's dagger thrust.
"That is no way to treat a lady."
The cultist pointed his dagger at the Khajiit and began to cast a spell. Not waiting for him to finish, Vale planted her expensive leather boot into the small of the high elf's back. The kick knocked him sideways into the unsecure stack of crates. The crates clattered to the deck, crushing the cultist beneath them. Vale blew a loose strand of hair out of her eyes.
Damn! I didn't think the entire pile was gonna come down. I can't get answers out of a dead man.
"At least that will be the end to the murders, yes?"
He mentioned the Retinue of Shambles. I have a feeling this was just the beginning.
Investigator Vale paused, looking the Khajiit over appraisingly.
And something tells me you aren't a simple clothier, Czar.
"I'm not?" This one has no idea what you're implying, Investigator.
A mystery, Zaraki. Haven't you heard? Investigator Vale solves mysteries, but I'll deal with that later. Right now, I think we could both use a drink. Shall we go and inform the captain that he has a mess to clean up below decks?